right now. Here on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Brent Martineau, former Jags player, Austin Lane. Jesse, you're safe, man. I can't stalk you, can't chase you down. You're on the phone.
I feel bad for McShay. It's good to be on with you guys.
He was awesome. I'll tell you the story real quick. We went up to the pro day.
You did. I didn't.
Yeah, well,
okay.
I did.
Yeah.
And with the TV side of things that I do, and we knew we weren't going to get Trevor or Dabo. They weren't even letting us in, Jesse, because they just had ESPN and NFL Network in there. And we still went up anyway because we said, you know what? You can't get an interview with anybody unless you're there. And so we tried it. They didn't let us in. And so I said, I'm not getting out of here without getting an interview. I saw McShay, and McShay was getting in his car, and he was kind enough to stop for a couple minutes. So we love Todd McShay around here.
You know what I think? I think that's just great journalism. At the end of the day, you got to get your story. You're not leaving until you get it, so I appreciate the hustle by you.
I appreciate it. Jesse Palmer, great to hear from you, man. Last time I talked to you, you were playing for the New York Giants. I was up in Albany, New York, covering training camp. I know you don't remember me, but I remember those days. Hey, how do you feel about Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville? You as high on this as everybody else?
I really am, man. I mean, listen, there's two words you don't say very often when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks before the NFL, and that's can't miss. I just really think that's what Trevor Lawrence is. I think in the 15 years I've been covering college football at ESPN, I think the only other guy I'd put in the same category as Trevor Lawrence is probably Andrew Luck. And to me, when I look at Trevor Lawrence, I just think he has everything. And it's obviously the intangibles physically with the size, arm talent, and accuracy, and the production and statistics and national championship appearances, et cetera, et cetera. What I love about Trevor Lawrence is the consistency. And there's essentially 40 games on tape that you can watch number 16 for Clemson play. There's really only one subpar performance. That came against LSU in the 2019 national championship game. And then I think one of the biggest compliments you could probably ever give a quarterback is that they make players around them better. And I think when you looked at this Clemson offense heading into the 2020 season, this was not an elite wide receiving group, right? They had lost T. Higgins at the draft the year before to Cincinnati. Justin Ross was supposed to be a superstar. He goes down with a neck injury, really outside of Amari Rodgers. This was a very inexperienced, very green wide receiving core. Trevor Lawrence really sort of had to take these guys by the hand and really sort of help them along the first half of the season. And still, Trevor's numbers and the Clemson offense statistically was still outstanding. So to me, Trevor Lawrence, from a leadership standpoint, his love of football, he checks all the boxes. And that's why I think if you're Urban Meyer, if you're Jacksonville, this is just, you could not ask for a better guy to try to get this rebuild going.
Jesse, obviously when you make that transition from the college ranks to the pro ranks, there can be an adjustment period, right? It can take some time. Alex Smith was a guy that was getting thrown on a little bit in terms of maybe being a backup quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Brent Martineau, my co-host here, I actually started a GoFundMe page to get Alex Smith as a backup quarterback because he thought that it would only help Trevor Lawrence in developing as a quarterback. I'm from the school of thought where if you're a guy like Trevor Lawrence or if you're a guy like Justin Herbert was last year or Joe Burrow, you don't need the backup quarterback to teach you things because you're already that good. Do you buy into that narrative, or do you think that you should have a guy at the backup spot that can, Trevor Lawrence can kind of bounce ideas off of a little bit?
I think if it's a guy like Trevor Lawrence, I think you let him play from day one. No different than what we saw with Joe Burrow last year, I think, in Cincinnati. I think he's played enough football at the collegiate level. And guys, again, he's just such a unique talent. I think you got to put him on the field day one, throw him in the fire, and let him go learn. This guy's a very high football IQ. I can't wait to see what happens with offensive coordinator and play caller Darren Bevel, how he works with Trevor Lawrence. Darren Bevel actually coached me in the Senior Bowl years back. Just extremely intelligent, such a good teacher, has a great demeanor. I think that's going to be a real nice marriage between he and Trevor Lawrence to get him go. Obviously, you bring in guys like Marvin Jones and free agency at wide receiver to kind of build this receiving group. Let Trevor Lawrence go and play with him and DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault and Philip Dorsett, whoever else they got there, let him go. I'm excited for Jacksonville. I really am, because I think Trevor Lawrence is the type of guy that I think in the future free agent receivers are going to want to go and play for and play with. I think he's that exciting. I think this offense, obviously there's other holes they need to fill at the right tackle spot. They need another running back. You want to build around Trevor Lawrence up front and at wide receiver and keep doing that. And they'll have the chance to do that in this draft. But to me, no doubt about it, just let 16 go from day one.
Jesse Palmer with us here on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690, part of the NFL Draft Game Day coverage coming up tomorrow night all weekend long, and talking a little bit about Trevor Lawrence right now. Coming to Jacksonville tomorrow night, it will become official. Jesse, you're an interesting guy to ask about the marketing end of Trevor. We're seeing him sign up for endorsements from Gatorade to cryptocurrency. How marketable is this guy from a guy who's obviously been very marketable like yourself on all different platforms outside of the sports realm? How do you see that playing out? Because our friends up in New York like to call Jacksonville Hartford with palm trees. We take exception to that. And we kind of feel like it doesn't matter where you are these days. Do you agree?
I do. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. How many commercials has Baker Mayfield in? I'm sure when he got drafted by Cleveland, people probably said the same thing. Not marketable. You won't have success in a city like that. Listen, at the end of the day, I think if you win games and you have success, I think it makes you marketable. And certainly Trevor Lawrence, he's got the talent, he's got the looks, he's got a lot of interests outside of football, as we know. And so to me, listen, I think it's a potential home run opportunity. I just think the sky's the limit for Trevor Lawrence, both on the field and off the field down in Jacksonville.
Well, we know this. He doesn't have to be on The Bachelor. He just got married a couple weeks ago.
No, for sure. So he's good on that end. Jesse, listen, man, I could talk football with you all day, but I got to know this. I have you on the radio right now, so I got to ask you this question. I was watching Beat Bobby Flay, and you're on that show as well. You're all over the Food Network. In terms of marketing, you're absolutely crushing it. My question, how did you get on the Food Network? Was there some kind of like interview you had to bake him something, or was just like, hey, you're Jesse Palmer, you're good to go, you're a quarterback, come join us? Like, what was that like?
No, I just love food. It actually started in Canada. That's where I'm from originally, and we've got Food Network Canada up there, and just randomly out of the blue, they asked me to come on and host a food show one day. I guess they had seen my social media, and they saw the stuff I was eating, and they were like, dude, you want to just come on and talk about food and just interview these people and host it? And I was like, absolutely, that sounds incredible. I can't bake anything, but I can salivate and drool as I watch other people do it and try to steal their cupcakes. So that's basically what happened. And then that kind of transitioned down into the Food Baking Championship or the Holiday Baking Championship and the Beat Bobby Flay and all the other Food Network stuff that I've been lucky enough to do. It's funny, man. Like you do football and it's awesome and it's my biggest passion in the world, but it's super analytical. When I'm doing the Food Network stuff, that's just like fanboying out. I'm just sitting there literally getting fatter and fatter as the show goes on, just waiting to get back to the gym when it's over. We're actually getting ready to shoot some stuff coming up this summer. I'm already like on the Peloton trying to get myself primed because I know I'm in trouble.
So I'm going to tell you this. We're going to have Jason Fitz call our show later on today, and Jason Fitz is a giant fan of Chopped, and it's his dream, like his life dream, to get on that show Chopped. Hopefully you can kind of use your Food Network muscles a little bit and possibly get him on. Help Jason out a little bit.
He'd be indebted.
Yes.
Tell him I got him. No problem.
Well,
Done, Brent.
He's coming up. We'll tell him. We're going to share him now. Don't make too many promises. All right. Hey, last thing. Mac Jones is from Jacksonville. Mac, I think, is the most interesting player in the draft. He is an unbelievable story, by the way, coming out of high school to end up at Alabama, end up in the Heisman conversation, and win a national title, and now this, maybe the third overall pick. I'm not convinced he's going number 3. And I'm a little concerned for Mac because if he doesn't go number 3, I wonder how much he slides and the weight becomes for him, maybe all the way down to like Washington at 19, although there's other teams that could pick him up in between there. How do you view Mac Jones going into tomorrow night?
I love Mac Jones, and I personally, I've got him going 3 to San Francisco. That's just my feeling. Obviously, that comes down to Kyle Shanahan, but all I can say is you just got to put on the film, and it's really as simple as that. I know he's not the fastest of the 5 quarterbacks going in the first round. He doesn't have the strongest arm as them either, but to me, he might be the most polished in terms of his ability to anticipate, the accuracy, which is just off the charts, his ability to move around the pocket and buy himself time, and then just find ways to get the football out. I know he was surrounded by crazy talent at receiver, and he had start calling plays for him, but you could say the exact same thing about Joe Burrow last year. It wouldn't be the first time a quarterback came out that had really good players around him in college that helped him put up unbelievable numbers. I think Mac Jones possesses the intelligence, the football IQ, and all the physical attributes necessary in the National Football League to move the chains. He doesn't have to have the strongest arm or be necessarily the fastest. Here's another thing I love about Mac Jones, just how competitive and confident he is as himself. He came into Alabama, he got there in the same recruiting class as Tua. Guys, today in college football, how many times do we see quarterbacks enter the transfer portal the second it looks like they're not going to get any playing time or they're going to face any adversity? They totally bounce. And then beyond that, he sits there, he waits his turn, bides his time. Bryce Young, the next number one ranked quarterback out of high school, comes into Alabama. So many quarterbacks would have bailed and left. Mac Jones said, no way, man. This is my job. This is my job, my offense, my team. I'm going to show everybody. There's something to be said for that. I think all those things combined makes me believe Mac Jones is going to have success on Sunday.
Jesse, how big is Mac Jones going number 3, though, also big for the quarterback position in general? Because I always feel like we talk about dual threat guys. Like, yeah, sure, he's accurate, but what is he run the 40-yard dash in? Obviously Mac Jones isn't the most mobile guy, but he's super accurate, right? He's kind of like the throwback quarterback a little bit. Will this kind of set a precedent and say, hey, if this guy goes number 3 with his accuracy, with his intangibles, maybe we shouldn't look too far to the future and say, hey, we need these dual threat guys that can run all around the field?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. I think at the end of the day in the NFL, I think to win, you have to be accurate and you have to make good decisions. And it's great if you can run the zone read and have the RPO game and have all those wrinkles in your offense to stress defenses. I think it's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, if you can't find the open guy, throw to the open guy on time, and most importantly, hit him in a league where the windows open and close so fast and they're just so small, you don't have a shot. And I'll say this, guys, to me, the fun tomorrow really starts at that number 3 pick with the 49ers, because we talk about quarterbacks. It's not important when you get picked, it's where you get picked. And to me, the thing that's going to determine these 5 quarterbacks and which one has the most successful future in the National Football League is that situation. The San Francisco 49ers picking number 3, to me, that is the holy grail home run scenario for any of these guys to get chosen into, considering here's a franchise that was 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. You got Kyle Shanahan calling plays, George Kittle on offense, a young, exciting group of receivers, an excellent defense that is going to get healthy when Bosa comes back. I think that if it's Mac Jones, if it's Trey Lance, if it's Justin Fields, this is the place that you can go and have success long term. Just look at what happened to Josh Allen 2 years back, or what happened to Justin Herbert last year. Not the first guy taken, and that's what we all kind of talk about and we seem to think is the most important thing, but it's where you go. It's the situation. Jacksonville's picking first for a reason. Hate to say it. The Jets are picking second for a reason. They're atrocious. The 49ers are not far away from being a good team. And I think if Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, whoever ends up at number 3, I think that's the guy that really has a home run shot at having a long and big-time career.
Jesse Palmer, great stuff, man. Really good hanging out with you for a few minutes. Thanks for taking the time. Enjoy the draft and all of the game day coverage on ABC. Appreciate it, man.
You got it, man. Stop harassing people in parking lots.
You bet. Stay safe on the phone.
Oh,
Stay safe on the phone.
That's got to be a button. Yep. Brett Martineau. Stop harassing people in the parking lot.
Good stuff
Austin
with
Lane.
Jesse Palmer.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We come back. Food Network promise. It's the Jason Fitz just happened, I think.
I think so.
Fitz